Hey, good night, guys. Quick check-in. Going a little early today because I want to get some stuff done in the afternoon. So I said earlier is better than later in this particular regard. So just in general, we're well past the halfway point of the year. And a lot of people made decisions at the beginning of the year to follow a path, to change their lifestyle, to change the way they train, to lose weight, to put on muscle, and so on and so forth. And I thought it was a nice time to actually revisit that idea. Like, did you have a plan at the start of the year? Did you get in that direction? And are you still making improvement? Because sometimes the road can be quite long. Some people, your body might be in a state because you have had a particular lifestyle for the last 5 years, 6 years. Everybody knows it doesn't come on just all of a sudden over a month. It takes months and months and months and months. So it's not always a realistic expectation to reverse the 5 years in 6 months. However, that's no need to get discouraged. Too many people will start something and they'll make a great change, but it's not the change they hoped for, and they get discouraged. And it's a long road, and you just have to kind of embrace it. There's going to be times where things aren't maybe going as well as you'd like. There's going to be times where you're not losing weight for 2 or 3 weeks, and sometimes you just need to change that little thing. It's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're making steps and you're improving. Like every now and again, it's very often for someone to train for a month, lose 3 or 4 kilos in that month, and then stagnate for another little bit. And you just have to keep the patience. Sometimes it is a case of making a little change. And that's why one of the things we do in here is we do try to measure people regularly, even people who've been coming for a year or 2 years, and they're very happy with where they're at. If you keep a check on it every 2 to 3 weeks is enough, you'll be able to get out in front of those things. And there's always going to be exceptions. Look, there could be a couple of events. Well, we know what happened in the weekend, so commiserations to everyone from the county, but Limerick played well on the day. Let's be fair to them, they deserved it. And there's always going to be the odd weekend where you're going to have the rupture and all that, but it's just about not making that a habit. Like we've said before about people going out at weekends, that it's always the exception. If you're going out 2 or 3 weekends per month, that's not the exception, that's a habit. And it's often just a case of you might need to throw those out the window, but just alter the habit a little. Like, try not to make the one evening out dictate the entirety of your eating for the weekend. Have your evening out. Great. Enjoy it. But there's no reason why if you go out Saturday night that all of Sunday has to be a write-off. Or likewise if you go out Friday night that the entire rest of the weekend is a write-off, because fuck it. Well, we talked before about calorie averages. It makes a big, big difference over time. And its consistency is the big thing, really. You just have to kind of find an approach, stick with it. If you're making progress, even if it's slow progress, that's progress. And the key thing is, and I stood in front of it here, even though I do notice on the phone it is in reverse, 80% of success is showing up. That's the thing you got to remember. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not always going to be straightforward, but it's about keeping that consistency. It's the same with learning a sport. Any hurler will tell you that they didn't pick up a slitter and suddenly after 6 months they were great. They practiced. Every hour they were out pucking the ball against the wall, playing every game they could, practicing their skills. And it's the same with changing your lifestyle. You can't do it for 2 or 3 months and expect results. The reason you got to the shape that you were unhappy with was because of the way your entire lifestyle was working. If you weren't happy with your body shape, there is something in your lifestyle you were doing wrong. The idea of changing it for 6 months and then going back, you are just going to keep that circle of dissatisfaction going. You just need to realize there's some things I'm doing wrong and I need to change it. That can take time, and it does require patience. And I'm always a big advocate of, if you do want to train, if you do want to go to a gym, don't go by yourself if you can. Very few people have that willpower and motivation to keep going by themselves day in, day out. And you can do it for a while. I did it myself for years when I was abroad. But at some point, I think willpower is, in some ways, a finite resource. It's going to grind down. And knowing there's someone else there to share with you and go through the journey with you is a big, big help. So, and if you don't know anyone to go with you, try find a small group of people you can train with. It's going to be a big help. Just knowing that someone is there waiting for you. Tom and I, before we set up this gym, I remember years ago we used to train with each other, and the amount of times that I know I got up in the morning and I did not want to train. And I know well he did not want to train, but because we committed to training with each other, we were both there with sour pusses on our face about an hour later. The training got done and you feel happy out of it. And I'll be straight up with something as well. A lot of people say doing exercise gives them the best energy buzz out of their day. They get endorphins, they feel elated after it, and it sets them up for the week and they feel very happy with themselves. I'll be straight. I don't get that. I don't get a buzz from actually doing training. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's a little different. However, I get a subsidence of guilt is what I would call it. It's a bit like taking my vitamins, for lack of a better word. And I also realise it's part of a process. You know, it is a means to an end. I want to be a particular shape, I want to look a particular way, and I have to work to get there. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have this ultra euphoric energy buzz out of every workout. And you do need to work out regularly, because if you only worked out on the days you felt good, you wouldn't get very much done. And that's what Jerry West used to say, possibly the most recognizable silhouette in the history of basketball. Check him up. It'll be backed up for me. So look, try not to get disheartened. It's all about keeping pace, keeping progress, keeping consistent. Okay? So we'll catch up again next week, guys. If anyone has any questions, I know a couple of people were asking about carbs lately, so we might actually talk about that topic next week. And I'll put up a little reminder on Monday, hopefully. So, best of luck, guys. Enjoy the day. And as usual, don't be afraid to send us a message in the comments, or people do send them direct as well, because they might want to put them in the comments, and that's fine. Okay? Take care.